Welcome to Momentum Investing, property investing made easy. One of the world's top podcasts on property investing, bringing you the top experts in the field so you can learn firsthand what it takes to create passive income and take control over your financial future.
Welcome, Momentum Investor, to the Momentum Investing Podcast. Today, we have one of the most important shows we've ever had for you. I hope you're excited. Have you ever asked yourself the question, how am I going to be able to afford property deals? How am I going to find the money in order to do them? Well, in today's episode, Mark Lloyd, and a very experienced investor, will show you an exact step-by-step process for how you can raise finance and do more deals and have more success. So this is going to be a very, very powerful episode, very exciting, so I hope you're looking forward to it. And I want to thank everyone who's sent in questions and requested other speakers. We have some amazing speakers lined up thanks to your requests, so I really appreciate that. If you want to request a speaker, go to our Instagram, Momentum Property Education, and leave a comment on one of our videos there. That's the easiest way of reaching us, the easiest way of making your voice heard. If you have questions, that's a great way to do it. Or you can go to the MomentumInvestingPodcast.com website and actually leave a voice message to us that we can play during the show. So we're really excited for this episode. I hope you are too. And let's get right into it with none other than Mark Lloyd. All right, welcome. We are here with Mark Lloyd. Welcome to the show.
Excited to be here, Daniel.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. Thank you for taking the time to spend it with us. I know you are in very, very busy times.
Yeah, could say that.
Yeah, well, tell us a little. What are you doing right now? What's top of the list?
Well, top of the list. Well, I suppose a couple of things really. So we've got obviously our training company. We're having to switch a lot of stuff online. So that's taking up quite a bit of our time at the moment.
I can imagine. We've done the same thing. It's an incredible pivot we've had to do as a company.
And it's a big change, isn't it? I mean, doing from live events to online is quite a big change for those of us that have not done online stuff before.
Yeah. I've actually found the counterintuitive, though, which has been really cool, is that we've been able to have a closer relationship with a lot of our clients, even though we're actually not meeting them physically, because there's so many touch points online, which is actually very cool.
Yeah, very cool. I actually wish I'd bought some shares in Zoom a month ago.
Yeah, really.
Because that's where I spend most of my life now, I think, is on Zoom calls. I guess the second area really is with our crowdfunding platform, which is the licensing element. That there's been a lot of focus on that over the past 9 months, and we're just about there. We would have been there subject to the pandemic, but should be there in a couple of weeks' time. Well,
that's awesome. Well,
lockdown ends.
This is one of the big reasons I wanted to get you on the call. Is obviously a lot of our community are looking for more ways to raise finance, to understand the principles. And I mean, you've been doing this in property for 15 years, in business in 30 years, done over 500 deals. Obviously, you've raised money, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about how kind of you did at the start, and then I want to talk more about the crowdfunding platform and what that can mean for investors and our community. So,
Sure,
so
okay.
How did you go about it at the beginning? How were you able to do 500 deals?
Wasn't that easy. I think it's I was always taught to look at things with an open mind and question how can I do that, rather than finding reasons why not to do it. And so every deal I've looked at is always, right, how can I do that deal? Even if I didn't end up doing the deal, it was always, how can I do it? And I had a small fund to start with investing, but yourself, Daniel, that doesn't last long. It doesn't matter how much money you got.
No. One of our clients, he's inherited about £3 million, and he's already going, well, what do I do when I run out? I'm looking at 3 projects and then I'm done.
Exactly. And it's property is a cash hungry game, if you want to call it that way. And I think one of the things I learned very early on was networking with other investors and looking for money. Yeah. Just to become a money magnet, try and find money. And I was fortunate that I had those skills that were quite easy.
What was it you did? How were you able to raise the money? Because, I mean, a lot of people struggle and spend years trying to work it out, and for you, it kind of came naturally. What did you do?
I think I'm a natural networker. So trying to, when you're looking at a potential investor or joint venture partner, there's a number of questions that are going to go through their mind about you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So the first one is, can I trust you?
Mm.
Do I like you?
Mhm.
Are you credible?
Yeah.
In other words, do you know what you're doing? So I kind of fortunate in that people seem to like me very quickly.
I don't know why, but sure. You are a very likable person. That is a great skill to have.
Indeed, and the trust element comes from seeing you and getting to know you.
Yeah.
So I developed a system of just a contact system, literally, of from when I first met somebody, and treating it very, very much like a sales situation, where I'm trying to get the person sold. So I had a process that the first point of contact was gaining some trust, getting some credibility. Then it was more about showing them what I'm doing,
Right.
and that was, a lot of that was just the email, social media, just contact. They could see and providing the social proof that I am who I say I am, that I am a credible person.
Right. And
Before
so
I
at
get
that
down,
point, you're not like soliciting them for money. You're just kind of like, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, you post on Facebook, look at, I'm doing this deal, or I'm in this meeting. And
yeah, and then it's because you don't go up to, when you're trying to find money, you don't go up to the first person and say, how much money have you got?
well, some do, but I agree. That's not the best way of doing it.
But I don't walk around with a T-shirt that says I've got $500,000 to invest. Come and talk to me.
Yeah.
So you've got to go and ask these people. You've got to find a way of breaking down barriers. And for those that are not familiar with the term rapport, it's building rapport with potential investors you're going to work with, and that rapport can happen in seconds, which it should do if you can break down that very, very quickly, or it may take you a little bit longer if you don't have the experience. But once you've built that rapport, trust will follow, like will follow. The credible element will come through the social proof. And then when it comes down to posing the question, which is never a direct question anyway, not in my book, it's a kind of an indirect way of asking them about money, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I was, the very first time I did it, I thought, wow, that was easy. I'll have to do that again.
Exactly. All of a sudden, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, but that enabled us to grow quite a large portfolio. Obviously, we don't have, we've done a lot of deals and sold a lot of deals as well. So, but yeah, we couldn't have done that without that kind of approach and just.
I have to ask, because I know a lot of people will be interested, because I love how systemized you are. I love that you're really treating the process with respect. I'm sure you might even have kept it in like a small CRM system, be it Excel or an actual system.
Yep.
And then, follow up, move them through the process. But, and we talk a lot about this in our Facebook group, and we're doing a social media challenge actually there just for that social proof part.
Noticed, yeah.
But when it gets to that final part, you say you kind of indirectly asked about the money. Well, how do you go about that? What is that question you pose to kind of get the yes?
Get the yes. It's almost like a proposal, isn't it? So it's kind of well,
you wrote it in the sky with an airplane.
Yeah. Well, by the time I'm making that proposal, I know already what personality type they are. So I do a bit of analysis on the type of personality the person is, whether they're a facts and figures type of person, whether they're a headline type of person. So if you approach me with something, yes, I'll want to see the detail at some point, but I just want to see the top line. What's it going to cost me? What do I get at the end? What else do you need from me?
Yeah.
Then I'll look at it. Others are much more detailed. They want to see the whole thing first of all, before they'll even mention anything. So I will have, at that stage, I will have already sussed out what kind of person they are, so I know what to present to them. And my approach is generally on the basis of, look, I've got this development or this deal I'm working on. I'm looking to raise a certain amount of money. Can you take a look at this for me and tell me if anybody comes to mind that might have that kind of cash?
Right. Yeah. So you're not asking them for their money. You're asking if they know someone else who has that money.
Yeah. So it's quite relaxed. You're not feeling nervous or under pressure because you're asking them money, or uncomfortable. They're not feeling under pressure because you're asking them money.
Yeah.
So
You avoid that whole shield and wall coming up. It becomes a relaxed discussion.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the way it should be.
That's great.
You know, people with money have got money for a reason. They're not stupid people. They've got it, and they want to hang on to it, and quite rightly so. And you know, when you're working with other people's money, it should be treated with the respect and more than if it was your own money.
Mm. Yeah, I love that, and more, because it's not only are you spending money, you're now spending your reputation.
Absolutely, 100%. And reputation can be ruined in seconds.
Yeah, it's a quick process. It takes time to build up. It's quick to shove down. So yeah.
Well,
So that's kind of how you started, and that's amazing. I know everyone's gonna love kind of getting that. Obviously, now you've moved on and you talked about your crowdfunding platform. I know everyone who's listening to this might not know what a crowdfunding platform is. So can you take it from like the ground up and explain what is this, and maybe tell us the journey of how this came about?
yeah, sure. So essentially, a crowdfunding platform is a way of pooling investors' money, very, very simply, to then lend out to in this case, a real estate project. And we started this process about 3 years ago when we launched some investment funds, which are essentially pooled investments.
Yeah.
So
instead of having one investor, you have 10, 50, 100, 1,000 investors on one or more projects.
And they could invest from, I think at the time it was about £10,000 or €10,000 upwards. And so you don't need that many to be able to start build an investment fund. And we raised over €6 million just on 3 investment funds in the UK, Netherlands, and Germany.
Right.
But what it taught us was a lot about the investor process, the kind of questions we were getting, and having to deal with the KYC, so the know your client information that I'm sure a lot of your listeners will be familiar with, the anti-money laundering regulations, all those kind of things, and thinking, right, how can we automate this process?
Right.
And it was initially just from our perspective, how can we make this work, make it simpler for us, but also lower the point of entry.
Right.
Because investment funds, you go on to, in the UK, the Financial Times, not sure what it is in Sweden, but similar kind of organizations, and the barrier to entry is the initial amount you need to invest.
Yeah.
Could be €20,000, €50,000 to start with. Well, we brought that down to €1,000, and we're going to bring it down to €100.
Wow, well done.
So, but the only reason we can do that is because we've automated a lot of the processes, so that the platform that we've built will automate most of it. Can't automate everything, but it will automate most of the attracting investor side of things. So if someone has €1,000 they want to invest in property, they can do. If they've got €100, they can do, or 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. What's quite interesting is that the majority of our investors are above 100,000, strangely enough.
Right.
But we have got the odd few that have invested €1,000.
Right. And often that might be someone also dipping their toes, I'm sure, is they try out with 1,000 and then all of a sudden they invest 10,000 and then all of a sudden they're up over that 100,000.
Yeah. And it's also checking you out.
Yeah.
A property fund is like property generally. It's an inflexible product. You'll see, in the situation we're in now with the pandemic and the lockdown, a lot of property funds have closed their exits because they can't sell.
Yeah.
It makes it a liquid process, but that's no different to property generally. At the current time, you can't sell with difficulty.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a disadvantage of the property fund. But it enabled us to grow a reasonable sized portfolio with €6 million, and that's all cash. It's not leveraged at all.
Right.
We're only just starting to leverage that now, so that equates to €15 million roughly.
Right. You can acquire a lot of portfolio for that. Yeah.
You can acquire a lot. But they were all set up initially to take advantage in the UK because of the changes in the tax laws, with what's called the Section 24, which is the removal of mortgage interest relief. So we knew a lot of landlords were going to start offloading properties because they're going to hit with a very large tax bill.
And let me just freeze you there and just like explain to everyone listening, like so everyone in our community knows what you mean. Is a couple of years ago, the UK tax authorities decided, obviously, that you can't claim back, your expenses for the interest rate before you, as a cost for your property. And now you pay tax on all your income on the property, and then you still have to pay the interest. And obviously especially I think deals in London, that really hits them hard, where their yields are lower and obviously their profit margin is a lot lower. So there's a lot of good deals coming out from the south of England, especially.
Yep. No, absolutely. And it's because traditionally in the UK, property was bought in your personal name because it was tax advantageous to do so.
Yeah. And of course the mortgage was so much cheaper.
Yeah. But it shows how the market develops, because once that happened and limited company mortgages started to appear, then the market now is quite mature. You try and get a limited company mortgage, certainly as a UK resident. I know it's more difficult for an international investor, but as a UK investor, there's so many products now available for UK limited companies. And as I say, I do accept that as an international investor, you have some issues getting UK finance.
Yeah, it's about having the network. That's one of the reasons why we have the Facebook group and why we do our teaching, because obviously we can introduce to mortgage brokers who know what they're doing in that respect. But it is a lot harder. We don't have access to all the lenders as you guys have.
So going back to the crowdfunding platform. So once we've raised the money, someone essentially registers on the platform, sets up an account, and then at the moment they can invest in 3 funds, which are our 3 funds, the UK, Dutch, and German funds.
Right.
But
and do they invest in the UK, German, and the Netherlands respectively, or is it all in the UK?
No, there's three separate funds they can invest in.
Okay. Wow. Cool.
Yeah. But they're our funds, and that's the restriction we had initially. So we decided to apply for a license through the Dutch authorities, because the company is based in Rotterdam, which would allow us then to operate throughout the European community. Right. Obviously, that excludes the UK now.
Ironically,
another challenge, but hey ho. Yeah. And that license that's taken us a good 9 months to get to where we are. It is due to be issued, but subject to the lockdown at the moment, things have obviously been delayed. So we're now expecting by the end of May that license will be issued. And what that means is that we can then take on third-party projects, which we can't do at the moment. So at the moment, if I was to go to the platform with another Max UK project, I could do. Yeah. Because it's our project. Yeah. As soon as, if you, Daniel, came to me with your project, I said, well, sorry, at the moment we can't help you until the license is in place.
Right. So once the license is in place, you can open the door and we could put our projects, for example, onto the platform.
Yeah.
And how is it the lending there, would it be similar to the same way as it is with a bridge, or would you even be able to do 100% funding on projects?
Well, don't quote me on this. Potentially, yes.
Right.
It depends on the project.
Yeah. Let's just say that, like, for the right deal, the money is there. Yeah. But that is amazing, though, and that's important for people to know. Is when you start, and we're seeing that now. We work with a lot of like Swiss banks and things. Is the right deal? Yes, you can get 100, even 110% financing. You don't always have to fit in the box, in the nice little pretty mortgage box, but it does take different contacts and different options, and a really good deal, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. But of course, the benefit is that we already have a database of over 70,000 investors registered on the crowdfunding platform. So whilst we've not raised for a third-party project as yet, and we will be looking for test cases to do that, the theory behind the crowdfunding platform is if you've got 70,000 investors and they all invest a small amount, filling a project fund-wise shouldn't be an issue.
No, exactly. And I'm sure people in our community, I know they'll want to post their deals. I can guarantee you that. But I'm sure a lot of them will want to invest as well. Maybe it's just 100 euros, maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 100,000. But I'm sure that is something that'll be interesting. And we'll add a link to the crowdfunding platform in the show notes, so that people can visit, because by the time this show comes out, the license will probably be in place, which means they can go in and access it.
Oh, cool. And the platform will be, at the moment it's offline because we're just upgrading the platform, so it should be back online by then as well.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, that's really exciting. So to kind of switch gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit more about, raising money and the finance kind of side, and more kind of the backdrop to what led you into starting this crowdfunding platform, because you must have had a lot of different ways you could have gone with this, continue with more funds or work with family offices. What was it what were you evaluating, and what caused you to prioritize the more crowdfunding approach?
Well, I think initially it was to attract a wider audience internationally, because there isn't, or there wasn't at the time when we launched it, an international cross-border crowdfunding platform.
Right.
They tend to be country specific.
Yeah.
So there are a number of crowdfunding platforms in the UK, but they only deal with UK property.
Right.
With anything outside it. We will be able to deal with property in a number of different countries and attract investors from virtually all around the world.
Right.
Europe is naturally our first target. It's one of the biggest markets in the world by far.
Yeah.
But we're then going east, not west. So we're
Okay.
going towards Asia next. Why? Because that's where all the money is nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
So
exciting.
Yeah, and it was just looking for different ways of how could we raise money. And you're right, there are plenty of ways of raising money, but nothing wrong with having another arrow to your bow. It's just kind of something else.
Exactly. And I can imagine the attractiveness of seeing how you could. I mean, obviously you've got 70,000 investors on the platform, and you haven't even opened up for anyone but yourself yet, which means there is a lot more growth potential there, obviously.
Yeah, and we're some of those investors have invested in the company as well. So we have we launched an equity round latter half of last year, which allowed people to invest directly in the company.
Right.
That's available as well. So we're still giving away equity at the moment, because that's funds our next phase of growth with the platform. So
that's super exciting. Well, that is really, really exciting. And I think, like I said, we'll add the links in the show notes, and I'm sure people will definitely want to take a look at it. And I'm sure a lot of the investors just got really attracted by the fact that maybe they can get 100% funding. So you'll have to answer to your partners now for saying that live.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hey, I say potentially it's there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. Find the great deals that fit the specific lender, and the money is there. And that's kind of one of the things that I really appreciate you coming on the show, because that's something we talk a lot about is, if it is a good deal, if you've structured it the right way, there's always a way to find funding. And this is just another proof that you will have a certain set of criteria. If you fulfill them, you can get the money. And if our clients' deals don't fit, well, they can start their own crowdfunding platform and set their own criteria.
I should just add, because it's a 90% automated platform, the charges on the platform is not as high as a standard crowdfunding platform, and probably won't be as high as bridging.
Right. And that's important, of course, when you're lending for large projects. That's huge. Awesome. So before we wrap up, we always ask, is there something you would like to leave, some words of wisdom to our community, something you think that people can benefit from?
Yeah, it's always a tough one, but I always go back to when I first started in property. And my mentor at the time was, don't rush to do a deal. Research.
Yeah.
There's plenty of deals out there. It's not like you've got to do a deal tomorrow, because there'll be another one the day after.
Yeah.
don't rush into any deal. If the figures work and you've got the access to the finance, which, you know, through the crowdfunding platform we can hopefully help you, then that's what I'd do. It's, you know, take your time and research first.
Awesome. I love it. So how can people reach you? Obviously, we'll have the links to the crowdfunding platform, but how else can people connect with you?
So connect to me on Facebook. I'm on there, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the usual social media stuff. Again, I can give you the links for those. And like you, we run a couple of groups on Facebook as well if they want to interact on there at any time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate your finer insights on how you can actually raise money for property deals.
No problem.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I hope you found this episode as valuable as I did. We learned a brilliant method for raising finance from Mark. This is something you should and can use in your investing journey, so please do. Now, for our next episode, this is going to be very, very exciting. We got Richard Ignatowicz here, who's one of the most experienced mortgage brokers in the business. He has contacts throughout most of the large banks in the UK. And not only is he going to share with us what is going on in the mortgage market, he's got the inside look into what's going on in the overall economic shift that's going on right now. So he's going to be able to show you what you can do going forward, what types of deals to look out for, what type of, what way is the market going. So be ready for that episode. Make sure you subscribe because there is some good value coming here forward. So thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.